Absolutely. I believe we need to be there. And you're correct. Almost everyone who has run for council has said, yes, we believe in transparency. And I think that that to understand all of the twists and the turns that it takes to even get to where we're at has taken a lot of energy, a lot of perseverance, a lot of patience, because now you have all of the ATPs that were signed, unless they're confidential, and we know, that occurs quite a bit. But those are available at every tribal council meeting. The calendar that's shared, we have repeatedly asked to have it shared throughout our membership. We haven't gotten there, but I think it really is if the tribal council makes it a priority, it will happen. And all I'm saying is that it has not been the majority of council who agrees with that. But you have my pledge that I will continue to work on every avenue that there is to bring it forward, and I did so just as late as Thursday when we were meeting with a professional company on our media and what ways we want to incorporate. And that was my question. How can we use the media to benefit our members and have an interaction continually? And I also ask that we be able to live stream as much as of our meetings that we could and have space for our members to ask questions. So,
John.
Monty, to you, yes, on that too. And I do, report, if I'm going somewhere, but also it's when I open my calendar book and announce it on a Tuesday or Wednesday night out there too. I usually end up getting bashed about that too. And because, thinking that, I want to represent our tribal membership no matter where I go. And it doesn't mean that I want to look at and say, how can I, go here and not be at the office? There are important things to do also that are out there in the public to educate, county governments, state governments, the federal government, and so in those things, you have to look at too is how can we represent the tribe? I don't see that all 9 people need to go to one place. That doesn't make sense. Usually there are reasons to be at the office, that you need to be at the office. Those are things that, that are important to us. When we did meet with that media person too, and I did bring up about that, how can we interact the membership even coming into like a Wednesday night council meeting by Skyping? There's something too so that they have an opportunity no matter where they live, or looking at ways of how we can educate our members by being able to have classes online, where it's live streamed from a culture class or a language class or anything, so that no matter where a tribal member lives in this world, they can feel connected to this tribe and everything, and to know that the Portland Forum I had brought up about having somewhat like a court recorder in the room when all discussion is there, so that it is recorded down for that. I think we are pretty transparent. I think probably one of the most transparent tribes there are in the country about allowing our membership to see, or to hear most of our information there. Sometimes I think it's about where a plan is, but eventually it will come to a Wednesday night council meeting and be presented. But I think in the planning process, I think there needs to be so that some other tribe or something doesn't, or the media all of a sudden take that and just broadcast it, statewide or, national wide, so that somebody might know what one of our plans are and stuff. But I think eventually, that information will get to the public and stuff too. So, but I'm not shy about letting people know where I've been or talking about where I'm going to go and stuff too, to meet.
Well, I think maybe you're misinterpreting my question somewhat. I wasn't talking about individuals. I was talking about a report from the council itself.
Yeah,
In the past, when I've asked for things, I've had to drag it out.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no, you can say you think we're transparent, but I totally disagree. Anything I've ever gotten from the council, I've had to just scream and holler and drag it out of them. There is absolutely no reason why at every general council meeting, the council can't get up there and say, either the chairman or whoever is representing the council at that particular time, get up and say what they've done in the name of the tribe since the last general council meeting. That stuff is...
I totally agree with that, Mark.
And on the major things, they should try to inform us before the decision. If you're going to spend $50 million of our money, you should bring it to us before you make that decision and talk to it about it, and let us have some input. But at the very least, after you make the decision, you should come to us and not only tell us what you've done, but be willing to answer questions about why you did it, and be able to have us understand why you did it. And that's not being done now.
But I totally agree with that, especially with discussion about maybe even a constitutional amendment to that point of where the information is brought to where the membership can decide.
It really shouldn't need one, but I mean, if that's
So
what it takes.
I'm going to interject, Monty. I appreciate the feedback, and John, I think you were wrapping up. Ann wants to do a quick follow-up. Just briefly, I'll give the other candidates as well a quick, real brief, Ann.
Okay, I agree, Bonnie. I didn't think that was, your question was, I was trying to get back to that. It's transparency is what you're looking for. And recording those meetings, I don't know when meetings have been, or information's been splashed all over the news. I haven't seen any news companies coming over and splashing our information. So I hear that, but I've always questioned, when did that happen? I mean, when has the newspaper been over looking into our, I mean, they can look it up on our videos and see them. Our videos are posted on the website. But as far as recording the meetings, I think all those work sessions, everything, I think that's going to bring accountability to our tribal council. And they need to be recorded, and the membership should be able to go and look and see what those recordings say, so we know what decisions are made and how they became, approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. So anybody else want to give a quick story about the PAC? When we first started in the first year, we tried to build transparency by essentially trying to gather up all the ATPs and council voting sessions, gather those documents, and then post them on our website. When we approached Dakota Whitecloud at the time as the council administrator, she said she would have to charge me $5 a sheet. So to get the first month, we had to pay $200 to our own tribe just to get the votes for that month. That's cost prohibitive for a tribal member with the current public ordinance. It's cost prohibitive for us to get the information. And that is wrong. I agree with you, Monty. And that's what we want at the PAC, and what I think all here agree. There should be transparency around these things so that we can know how individual council members voted on things that are close and important to us. Because that'll inform how I vote next time. If I know they voted against something that I think was strong. Right now I don't know. And often I'll be, Chris and I are brothers, but I don't know. Whenever I ask him things, he's just like he was today. He's not able to tell me anything because of the current transparency around it. There's confidentiality, executive session all the time. He's afraid of getting sued. And that's just wrong. This is my brother, and I can't even get a straight answer out of my brother. So anyway.
I'm editing.
You can't. It's true, though, Chris.
So I have a follow-up on that. Those of you who are on tribal council, maybe Chris can answer this. If a tribal council member wants information and it takes over a certain amount of employees' time,
2-hour rule.
So can you explain what that is?
If you are asking an employee to do something for you and the amount of work that they're doing takes more than 2 hours, it goes to a vote of council.
So as a tribal council member, I need information to be able to make informed decisions. I ask for that information. It takes the employee 2 hours or longer. Now I can't just get that information. The whole tribal council has to vote on whether I get that information. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's the transparency problem we have right there, Monty. Exactly. So if you guys were elected, which one of you would make the motion to change that? And which one of you would second it?
So we can all find hands up on that.
So those of you who are on council, I would expect that you would make that motion the next time you come together as a meeting.
Can I?
Yeah, you can follow up. So other folks,
Yeah.
Ann had a follow up, so other folks, please follow up. So,
One of the, this issue came about because I had requested as the chair for staff to put together a report for council, not just for me, but for the council, because I wanted to recognize all of our committee members throughout the years. And, you know, off the top of my head, I can, you know, remember a lot of them. But, you know, you could play on that and say, oh, it's going to take so much research. I have to find out where to start. I have to go to those committees and see if they have a log. I got to look through all of the resolutions when we appointed these committees. I've got to see, you know, it just became this big old job. And so that was how then, well, it's going to take too long and we need the services of this employee and we don't want them spending all their time doing that. Which, I mean, that was really no harm, no foul. It was just recognizing committee members. So, yeah, I totally agree. It depends upon the employee and their, you know, perhaps their workload, perhaps their political persuasion, but yeah, it does need to be changed. Thank you.
Kathy, please.
Andy, it's funny that you should bring that up because that happened to me when I was on council. You know, prior to 2004, there was no video streaming, there was no videos, there was no notes, there was nothing. And I really have to, when new council came on in 2004, 2005, we made sure that those things were starting to happen. But it's kind of slipped back to the old way where there's not as much information. That used to happen to me on a regular basis. If I asked for financials, it became a political point. I tried to find out how much we had in this slush fund. And the five of us, Chris being one of them, finally got the amount of money that was in this slush fund, and we put it in we took that slush fund that was just being used for a lot of different things and put it into the endowments. I think we put, I think it was $14 million in education.
Yeah.
And so that money was just sitting there for, you know, whatever came up. So
Microgreens now.
yeah. So it depends on who you are sometimes if you get information, and then the two-hour rule, depending, because the organization has gotten so political, and instead of being, you know, when a tribal council needs some information to be able to, like you said, make a decision or vote on something or to find out what it is, we can't get that. I tried to find out particular expenditures on travel for one person, one of our staff members that answers to us. I was never given that information. But a male counselor, tribal council walked right in there and got the information, no problem. And I know that's hard to believe, but that happened. It happened when Buddy West was there. One of the finance people laughed in our faces and said, "I'm sorry, you can't have that information." So it sometimes depends on who you are if you get that information, and it shouldn't be that. It should never be that way. And just like Cheryl said, we should be able to contact our tribal membership. And I said this last time, if one of our tribal members are sick and we need to go see them or visit them or talk to their families, we can't even get that information to be able to do that. And that's the Indian way. That's your culture. You go and you be with those sick people, or you go and talk to those families. We can't, some of the council can't get it, some of them can. And that needs to change.
Brenda, did you have that? No? Okay, John, you good? John, you good? Okay. Let's move to the next question from the audience. So, who wants to ask? Good.
Thanks for coming out here. 5 out of 8 candidates, and believe me, I tried to get the other 3 out here. It's just like, it was hard, but I appreciate you guys coming out. Really helps this community. I've been a little hard on the incumbents so far on social media. I'm one of those people, but it comes from a good place. I like all of you. It's nothing personal, it's just issues, and along the lines of what Monty's been saying in transparency, I have some questions along that. And I'm just going to talk about it because it's the elephant in the room. I don't like losing $31 million. Nobody does. But it's kind of the way it happened that bothers a lot of us, especially out here when you're away from Grand Isle, because you don't hear much. I have a problem with the fact that we're still keeping the economic development director around that kind of pushed us in that direction. And see, I have a problem with it because I don't know all the intricacies of what happened because there's no transparency. I would like to know why we still have that person employed with us. And B, you lose $31 million and then you run for re-election. I have a hard time with that. You'll have to explain yourselves fully. And the people that aren't incumbents, I'm sure you have an opinion on this too, so you can go right ahead and talk.
Would you guys like to go for Brenda?
There were a couple of questions you asked. Number one was about the HR issue. Why is the employee still there? Of course, we know personnel issues are confidential, whether there is one or not. But as you've heard a number of people say here that tribal council is a political body, and it depends on who is in control of the body. So there are ideas, thoughts, proposals, comments, counter proposals that go on. And the reasonable, you talk about the reasonable person or the reasonable man. What would the average person on the street say to this? A lot of that doesn't make any difference to many, to the majority. It doesn't really, because their opinion is what it is, and they have a very strong belief in commitment to stay on the path that the council is on. So, believe you me, I have talked many loud and clear. I think a lot of people know that I have a business background, and so I bring forward the practices, prudent business practices, that in this given situation, things aren't panning out. Talking much more openly and clearly in those settings than here, because I can't talk specifically about the confidential pieces of it. But Clifford, I want to tell you that there has been council members who have openly said, we need to stop this, we need to do something different, but it's not the majority. So one of the things I know just on the personal level, I will say this, I didn't agree with some of the initiatives that were on the table And I spoke to those issues. To me, it wasn't a personal issue, it's my fiduciary responsibility. And the individual was in the room too, so I'm not, these are issues that are real, but it makes little difference. So, I agree. That's a huge debacle, but given the present composition of our council, that's where it is.
Thank you, Brenda.
Why is he still employed? I don't know. Nobody knows because there's so much missing information. So I'm going to run this into my thoughts. The one thing I know, well, I think I know a couple of things for sure. I know that every current tribal council member and those who have recently got off had their hand in this. Every one of them, whether it was from the beginning, in the middle, whether they came on at the end. That's what I know for sure. And then I know for sure that we lost 31 million. That's all I know for sure. So how do we make? How do we as a tribe say he shouldn't be employed because of this or this or this, or we should move on this or this? We don't know. We're missing all of that information. And what people don't know, they make up. Hence the rumors, hence the hatred, the bitterness, the vengeance, all this crazy stuff. So here we are back to transparency, openness, whatever you want to stay. We have to be committed to getting this done. It's dividing the tribe. So I wish that I could sound really intelligent and tell you why he's still employed, but I need more information. Thanks.
Kathy.
Brenda's right. We all have a hand in that. And I said openly at a council meeting, I was lied to. I was openly lied to. And I'm willing to have an investigation into that $31 million. I'm willing to bring in the feds and find out what happened to that $31 million. And I'm willing to testify that I was lied to about the initial investment. That's what I'm willing to do. Because that deal was made to be something that it wasn't. That deal that when I initially voted yes for that $10 million, I was told there was absolutely no way we would ever lose that money. It would be coming back to us twice-fold. And that wasn't true. And so I stopped voting for the rest of it. Because something didn't smell right. And Ann brought information too. So I'm willing, if elected, to ask for an investigation into this. Because you need to know and I need to know too. And that's that transparency part. I'm willing to have that happen. Not in-house investigation, but an outside come in and find out where that money is. And how much money is going to be sold at this auction. Now it's an auction.
Pennies on the dollar.
I'm willing to have that investigated too. So yeah, Brenda, I did have part of that and I admitted it openly. And I still admit it openly that I was lied to. So, and willing to take a look into the whole 31 million.
Let's go down there. Go down.
By saying that, I didn't accuse anybody of anything. I was just saying that's what I know.
Yeah. No, I don't think Brenda, anyone.
Okay.
It was, look at this, the accusation. Me objectively observing. Ann, let's go to you.
I think everybody knows that I had concerns about, and I have to be very careful what I say here. But I can tell you that if elected, and if I had been sitting at that table, I'm about 90% sure we would have $31 million in bank right now. We'd probably have $35 million because we'd be making money on the money we lost. I kept going to the microphone saying, who does this? Who puts bad money or our money, correct, into a company that's continually losing money?
Had personnel issues.
Who does that? And to take a new business, which is against our policy, and become a bank and lend it money, you've just closed the coffin. You don't lend a startup business money and expect some investor to come in and invest in it. That's not going to happen.
Oh, it wasn't a startup.
Yeah, but anyway, I have that kind of experience. This is what I bring to the table. And I pledge to you that I would be there and I'd be asking questions. And I would be helping my fellow tribal councilmen understand how investments in these things work to protect our tribe, protect our assets. Because right now, we need every penny.
Thank you. John, do you want to speak to the question?
I think we can only make a decision on the information provided to us. We were invited to visit there. You know, so the information, like you said, yeah, it could have been like they were lying to us. You know, but we pay people more than what we earn to give us the information to make an informed choice. And so when you look at that, you know, and it goes, wow, what a great idea, you know. And then, and like you said, you look at it, it's like an investment, you take a risk, you know. Again, they come back, exactly, I voted no to not give them a second time. And then it came to the point where, like you said, the information that you're provided, you know, how can we make an informed choice from that? And my questions that I had asked too is that, so now it's to the point of exactly is that as part of our fiduciary responsibility to our membership, you know what, it's like now you have to protect it. And that was my concern for that was, so now we're going to throw all that away, you know, because now it's like we've waded out into the deeper water in that sense. And so it did come a concern, and I thought, wow, you know, that's a lot of money to be thrown away from there. And that's the concern was, and that was the questions I'd asked. So now you think that that you're telling us is that we need then to actually save our investment from that, from you know, the sinking ship in a sense. And that's what, and they give you the information about how it's gonna, you know, turn around and how it's, you know, doing that. And so that's the unfortunate part of that and about that risk. So too, so.
The part where you said, wow, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should have asked the membership first.
Well, and that's the part, and I
We
think that's
have a
what
voice in
we're
it.
saying. So we're looking at that. So that would be the other part
That's
about
the part
that.
that I find interesting.
So,
Yeah, Clifford, and